Introduction: what this book can do for you. This book is written to suggest techniques, and to give examples which demonstrate that you do not need to be defeated by anything, that you can have peace of mind, improved health, and a never-ceasing flow of energy. In short, that your life can be full of joy and satisfaction. Of this I have no doubt at all, for I have watched countless persons learn and apply a system of simple procedures that has brought about the foregoing benefits in their lives. These assertions, which may appear extravagant, are based on bona fide demonstrations in actual human experience. Altogether too many people are defeated by the everyday problems of life. They go struggling, perhaps even whining, through their days with a sense of dull resentment at what they consider the bad breaks life has given them. In a sense, there may be such a thing as the breaks in this life, but there is also a spirit and method by which we can control and even determine those breaks. It is a pity that people should let themselves be defeated by the problems, cares, and difficulties of human existence, and it is also quite unnecessary. In saying this, I certainly do not ignore or minimize the hardships and tragedies of the world, but neither do I allow them to dominate. You can permit obstacles to control your mind to the point where they are uppermost, and thus become the dominating factors in your thought pattern, by learning how to cast them from the mind, by refusing to become mentally subservient to them, and by channeling spiritual power through your thoughts. You can rise above obstacles which ordinarily might defeat you. By methods I shall outline, obstacles are simply not permitted to destroy your happiness and well-being. You need be defeated only if you are willing to be. This book teaches you how to will not to be. The purpose of this book is a very direct and simple one. It makes no pretense to literary excellence, nor does it seek to demonstrate any unusual scholarship on my part. This is simply a practical, direct action, personal improvement manual. It is written with the sole objective of helping the reader achieve a happy, satisfying, and worthwhile life. I thoroughly and enthusiastically believe in certain demonstrated and effective principles which, when practiced, produce a victorious life. My aim is to set them forth in this volume in a logical, simple, and understandable manner, so that the reader, feeling a sense of need, may learn a practical method by which he can build for himself, with God's help, the kind of life he deeply desires. If you read this book thoughtfully, carefully absorbing its teachings, and if you will sincerely and persistently practice the principles and formulas set forth herein, you can experience an amazing improvement within yourself. By using the techniques outlined herewith, you can modify or change the circumstances in which you now live, assuming control over them, rather than continuing to be directed by them. Your relations with other people will improve. You will become a more popular, esteemed, and well-liked individual. By mastering these principles, you will enjoy a delightful new sense of well-being. You may attain a degree of health not hitherto known by you, and experience a new and keen pleasure in living. You will become a person of greater usefulness, and will wield an expanded influence. How can I be so certain that the practice of these principles will produce such results? The answer is simply that for many years in the Marble Collegiate Church of New York City we have taught a system of creative living based on spiritual techniques, carefully noting its operation in the lives of hundreds of people. It is no speculative series of extravagant assertions that I make, for these principles have worked so efficiently over so long a period of time, that they are now firmly established as documented and demonstrable truth. The system outlined is a perfected and amazing method of successful living. In my writings, including several books, in my regular weekly newspaper column and nearly 100 dailies, in my national radio program over 17 years, in our magazine, Guideposts, and in lectures in scores of cities, I have taught these same scientific, yet simple principles of achievement, health, and happiness. Hundreds have read, listened, and practiced, and the results are invariably the same. New life, new power, increased efficiency, greater happiness. Because so many have requested that these principles be put into book form, the better to be studied and practiced, I am publishing this new volume under the title, The Power of Positive Thinking. I need not point out that the powerful principles contained herein are not my invention, but are given to us by the greatest teacher who ever lived, and who still lives. This book teaches applied Christianity, a simple yet scientific system of practical techniques of successful living that works. Norman Vincent Peale. Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. Have faith in your abilities. Without a humble but reasonable confidence in your own powers you cannot be successful or happy. But with sound self-confidence you can succeed. A sense of inferiority and inadequacy interferes with the attainment of your hopes, but self-confidence leads to self-realization and successful achievement. Because of the importance of this mental attitude, this book will help you believe in yourself and release your inner powers. It is appalling to realize the number of pathetic people who are hampered and made miserable by the malady popularly called the inferiority complex. But you need not suffer from this trouble. When proper steps are taken, it can be overcome. You can develop creative faith in yourself, faith that is justified. After speaking to a convention of businessmen in a city auditorium, I was on the stage greeting people when a man approached me, and with a peculiar intensity of manner asked, "May I talk with you about a matter of desperate importance to me?" I asked him to remain until the others had gone, then we went backstage and sat down. "I am in this town to handle the most important business deal of my life," he explained. "If I succeed, it means everything to me. If I fail, I am done for." Suggested that he relax a little, that nothing was quite that final. If he succeeded, that was fine. If he didn't, well, tomorrow was another day. "I have a terrible disbelief in myself," he said dejectedly. "I have no confidence. I just don't believe I can put it over. I am very discouraged and depressed. In fact," he lamented, "I am just about sunk. Here I am, 40 years old. Why is it that all my life I have been tormented by inferiority feelings, by lack of confidence, by self-doubt? I listened to your speech tonight in which you talked about the power of positive thinking, and I want to ask how I can get some faith in myself." "There are 2 steps to take," I replied. "First, it is important to discover why you have these feelings of no power. That requires analysis, and will take time. We must approach the maladies of our emotional life as a physician probes to find something wrong physically. This cannot be done immediately, certainly not in our brief interview tonight, and it may require treatment to reach a permanent solution. But to pull you through this immediate problem, I shall give you a formula which will work if you use it. As you walk down the street tonight, I suggest that you repeat certain words which I shall give you. Say them over several times after you get into bed. When you awaken tomorrow, repeat them 3 times before rising. On the way to your important appointment, say them 3 additional times. Do this with an attitude of faith and you will receive sufficient strength and ability to deal with this problem. Later, if you wish, we can go into an analysis of your basic problem, but whatever we come up with following that study, the formula which I am now going to give you can be a large factor in the eventual cure. Following now is the affirmation which I gave him: "I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me." Ph 413. He was unfamiliar with these words, so I wrote them on a card, and had him read them over 3 times aloud. "Now, follow that prescription, and I am sure things will come out all right." He pulled himself up, stood quietly for a moment, then said with considerable feeling, "Okay, doctor. Okay." I watched him square his shoulders and walk out into the night. He seemed a pathetic figure, and yet the way he carried himself as he disappeared showed that faith was already at work in its mind. Subsequently he reported that this simple formula did wonders for him and added, "It seems incredible that a few words from the Bible could do so much for a person." This man later had a study made of the reasons for his inferiority attitudes. They were cleared away by scientific counseling, and by the application of religious faith. He was taught how to have faith, was given certain specific instructions to follow. These are given later in this chapter. Gradually he attained a strong, steady, reasonable confidence. He never ceases to express amazement at the way in which things now flow toward, rather than away from him. His personality has taken on a positive, not negative, character, so that he no longer repels success, but, on the contrary, draws it to him. He now has an authentic confidence in his own powers. There are various causes of inferiority feelings, and not a few stem from childhood. An executive consulted me about a young man whom he wished to advance in his company. But, he explained, he cannot be trusted with important secret information, and I am sorry, for otherwise I would make him my administrative assistant. He has all the other necessary qualifications, but he talks too much, and without meaning to do so divulges matters of a private and important nature. Upon analysis I found that he talked too much simply because of an inferiority feeling. To compensate for it, he succumbed to the temptation of parading his knowledge. He associated with men who were rather well-to-do, all of whom had attended college and belonged to a fraternity. But this boy was reared in poverty, had not been a college man or fraternity member. Thus he felt himself inferior to his associates in education and social background. To build himself up with his associates, and to enhance his self-esteem, his subconscious mind, which always seeks to provide a compensatory mechanism, supplied him with a means for raising his ego. He was on the inside in the industry, and accompanied his superior to conferences, where he met outstanding men and listened to important private conversations. He reported just enough of his inside information to cause his associates to regard him with admiration and envy. This served to elevate his self-esteem and satisfy his desire for recognition. When the employer became aware of the cause of this personality trait, being a kindly and understanding man, he pointed out to the young man the opportunities in business to which his abilities could lead him. He also described how his inferiority feelings caused his unreliability in confidential matters. This self-knowledge, together with a sincere practicing of the techniques of faith and prayer, made him a valuable asset to his company. His real powers were released. I can perhaps illustrate the manner in which many youngsters acquire an inferiority complex through the use of a personal reference. As a small boy I was painfully thin. I had lots of energy,